Tony at King 1090. I'm Rick Miller. Yes, indeed. 244-1546, that's the number in Seattle if you would like to get in on this conversation at 2:30. Of course, we'll keep this up as well throughout the until 3 o'clock, but I also want you to know that at 2:30 we will be talking about Pat, the movie. I have some things to say about that. Doug Thomas, who takes care of all of our film and video reviews, we're going to have him on the live line, and we're going to talk to him about Pat. We're going to talk about all this promotion. And just let me tell you as an aside, I asked everybody I ran into on the staff and a whole bunch of people out in the street what they thought, if they were interested in this movie, Pat. Unanimously, people were some degree of either completely disinterested, and many of them really viewed the whole idea with contempt. Not one person had anything good to say about, they hadn't seen the movie, about even the idea of a movie about Pat, the character on Saturday Night Live. Nor do I. I mean, I never thought that character was very funny, but how could anyone fail to grasp that this is a one-note Johnny of a joke that might work for 5 minutes? Doesn't work for me, with me for 5 minutes, but might work with somebody for 5 minutes. But for goodness sakes, you're going to make a movie out of it, and then you flood all this publicity. The publicity mill turns out all this publicity, and they actually print it in newspapers like the PI, the Times, and the Tacoma News Tribune. You wonder what's going on. What's going on? Tess in Lake City, you're on King 1090.
Hi, I just had a few comments and observations to make on your topic of male versus female.
Good deal.
Okay. I'm thinking it's what society expects and conditions into men or women. And I'd like to contrast the football stress and the mental and physical pain with childbirth.
Yeah.
That the 30 hours of childbirth, I know a lot of men who won't even go in. They don't really want to go in and even accompany their mates in the birthing process. And certainly without drugs, the women are going through it sometimes too.
Yeah.
Now, you got to say, that's
pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
That's tough stuff.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
And then these poor guys that don't cry during their dry heaving workouts will cry when they lose the game.
You know what? You're right.
It just occurred to me they go for a big championship, and my heart goes out to them too, because as a woman said earlier, it's not good or bad, it's different. And I think also the men, after they have their child, they would endure 30 hours of torture to save their child. And women put up with abuse in abusive relationships. It's a kind of, mental torture to break them down, like you said, and then they're pliable. You can make them do what you want them to do.
Well, that's a very impressive, impressive array of examples. I'm really in awe of that list. So what conclusions then do we draw? I mean, you have unmistakably demonstrated the toughness that women are capable of.
I think that we're all capable of what we're asked and conditioned all our lives. We are expected to give birth, and we know we have to do it. Men are expected to compete and put up with pain, and they just endure it. We both should respect each other and not have any put-downs at all.
Well, okay, but why can women endure childbirth and all the activities attendant, but blubber over a hangnail or a cut on their finger?
I think there's a tremendous competition among women to be more attractive to either each other or to the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a terrible blow to an ego. A man who doesn't make the football team would be just as crushed. Because it's not because women won't look up to him, his peers won't look up to him. And if a man loses a job, if a woman feels that she's unattractive, if a woman loses her job or a man feels he's unattractive, it really kind of goes both ways.
What about this business of yelling? It's common in football practices for a coach to yell at the boys, and the boys take it with no problems, and most women would say, no, I would fall apart if you yelled at me that way.
Well, you yell at me, and I will get mad enough, and I will be motivated. But it's not from the heart, and I'll tell you, if you pump me up in a positive way, and I'm your friend if you're my boss,
Yeah.
I will work to death for you. I'll go the extra mile for you. I'll become inspired because of some spiritual difference.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about physical stuff now. I'm not talking about the brain work. I'm talking about physical work. I'm talking about football players and other things, so women can be included. Things that require you to go past the pain threshold in conditioning.
I guess because
So you get the dry heaves.
Well, I'm thinking about the military. The women that want to succeed in the military do. But most women, I don't think they would cry on the football field. I think they'd turn around and look at the coach's face and say, forget it. I'm not going to put up with this.
Sure, and then they'd walk off.
Mm-hmm.
What a great call. Thank you, Tess.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Gee whiz. We still have a fly in the ointment, though. We have this idea of yelling at players. Women won't take it, generally speaking. Boys will. I don't understand that exactly. Warren in Olympia, you're on King 1090.
Yeah, hi, Rick.
Yes, sir.
Quick aside in your question about the Saudi Arabian team.
Yeah.
You know, those are all children of Arabian American Oil Company students.
Sure, I know, but I think they should be banned.
Or at least they should play under some other title.
Yeah. I think if you're an American, having grown up with God, apple pie motherhood, and Little League baseball, I don't think you should be able to call yourself a Saudi Arabian. I think Saudi Arabian baseball teams should be made up of Saudi Arabians.
Well, I think Little League lets them in because it expands their publicity and all that. Anyway, I'm not so sure I agree with the people who are saying that, or mostly you, I guess, saying that the macho aspect or the being screamed at aspect is really a critical part of winning in football. I think it's one of those things that's always been done that way. It's a rite of passage, and it keeps on being done that way. But I endured it always, but I don't think it ever motivated me.
Well, okay. I thank you, Warren. Yeah, it is traditional. Sure, it is absolutely traditional. And the conversation I was having earlier with Joe Fiala, our engineer, hearkened back to that traditional aspect. There is tradition involved. And I guess one of the questions that we are wrestling with today is that tradition outdated? Or is it still good stuff? Okay, my friends, we will continue. Those of you on the line, stay there, and we will make sure we get in your calls, no problem. But when we come back, we will have on the King 1090 Live line Doug Thomas for a quick little chat about Pat the movie and attendant opinions about the wisdom and propriety of making a movie about such a one-note subject that many view with such distaste. 228 at King 1090.
Saving old baseball cards would have been a smart financial move. A well-kept train set from your childhood could probably turn a tidy profit. We've even heard there's a market out there for anyone who's managed to hold on to their old lunchboxes. But make no mistake, there is no redeeming value in holding on to an outdated, antiquated checking account. The same kind you had with the same ordinary features 15 to 20 years ago. What you need today is the complete checking account from First Interstate Bank. It has such modern options as free checks, no annual fee credit cards, reduced loan rates on certain loans, no fee traveler's checks, free day and night teller machine visits, and even discounts on safe deposit boxes, which just might be a good place to store your Wee Willie Keeler baseball card. Rookie year, of course. Complete checking from First Interstate Bank. Certain conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Now S&W Fine Foods presents Mr. S and Mr. W.
Well, to me, they look like something that's been hanging on the wall in a Mexican restaurant.
These are smoke-dried chipotle peppers.
Yeah, okay, something that's been hanging in the smoking section of a Mexican restaurant. Yeah.
Smoke-dried peppers are traditional in Southwest cooking. You ought to try this new S&W hot salsa with chipotle. It has a real smoky accent.
Yeah, smoke is probably your stomach lining bursting into flames.
There are a lot of hot salsas in jars that cost a lot more than our S&W canned salsas.
I know that.
But none of them have a flavor like this.
Well, personally, I like our S&W mild salsa. It's chunky, it's fresh tasting.
It's for wimps.
Yeah, well, it's plenty hot enough for me without putting in chipotle.
Chipotle, the legendary pepper of passion.
What do you mean, the pepper of passion?
Chipotle was the Aztec god of love, and some people say that peppers are a powerful aphrodisiac.
Yeah, sounds like an old wives' tale.
Who would know better?
Aphrodisiac, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Maybe I'll just take one can.
Help yourself.
A couple of cans actually fit in here.
I don't know. The salsa with chipotle is awfully hot. You want to
Give me that, would you?
Ooh,
S&W, the best, all the time.
Imagine playing golf at the prestigious and private Bear Creek Country Club in the dark using a glow ball. It's the first annual Kindering Center Glow Ball Golf Tournament benefiting the medically fragile infants of the Kindering Center. It happens September 10th in the dark. Entry fee includes dinner, golf skills game, a silent auction, and 9 holes of golf beginning at dusk. All proceeds go toward early intervention therapies for developmentally delayed infants at the Kindering Center of Bellevue. To play golf in the dark at Bear Creek on September 10th, call 747-4004.
King News Talk 1090 Midday News Update.
Good afternoon. It's 2:31. I'm Bill Polish in the King 1090 News Center. The slowest postal facility in the country is just outside Washington, D.C. Now, as ABC's J.J. Green reports, that facility has a lot of very expensive problems.
Not only were over 2 million pieces of mail sitting undelivered for months, but now a new twist.
I am a postal employee, as I have been for the last 9 years. For the last 21 months, however, I have been sitting in a windowless room doing nothing but getting all of my pay and all of my benefits.
The office where graphics designer Susan Zapolsky worked was closed, and she, along with 15 others, were sent to the Capitol Heights facility. They all earned between $40,000 and $60,000 to do nothing. Interestingly enough,
there are 1,800 plus contractors making $85 an hour at headquarters in our old jobs. My mother is a Kelly temp working in my old office.
J.J. Green, ABC News, Washington.
130 military police from Fort Lewis are heading to Cuba. They'll be used to keep the peace around the U.S. Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay as more Cuban refugees are housed there. Captain Bill Costello at the base says the troops got a little advance warning that they were heading off to Cuba.
We received a warning earlier in the week that this might be coming down. Soldiers started doing the individual preparations that they needed to do. Unit leaders began to do some unit preparations, but we were not officially notified until yesterday afternoon.
Now, those MPs from Fort Lewis will be staying in Cuba anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Egg throwing is apparently what led to the fatal shooting of 2 teenagers in Spanaway. Pierce County Sheriff's deputies now looking for whoever fired a rifle into their car last night. The shots killed 2 17-year-olds from Spanaway Lake High School, Robert Forrest and Michael Walden. This neighbor heard the shots.
Pet food, an achievement that'll revolutionize the nutritional pet food industry. What makes this new product so remarkable? Pets like it. They really Them formula, the high nutrition food your pets will really like.
I'm Dr. Julie Meadows. As a veterinarian, I see a lot of pets with nutritional problems. They want something that tastes good. But I had to recommend something nutritious I knew a lot of pets wouldn't eat. Now, I recommend new Waltham formula. To me, it's the best of both worlds, combining great taste with great nutrition to give your pets the taste they love and the nutrition they need. Try new Waltham formula.
Talk about remarkable. Waltham is offering 40-pound bags of Waltham Formula adult conditioning and light diets for dogs for only $19.99, plus 2 free cans with any 40-pound purchase of Waltham Formula at PetSmart, Creature Comforts, and Dolphin Pet while supplies last.
Well, let's find out how the Friday afternoon commute is going as people try to sneak away. Here's Janet Ryan with the King 1090 Traffic Watch.
Stay around 527 at 196th, an injury accident blocking your roadway there. Also, North 5, north of 516th, an earlier accident is still sitting in the HOV lane. Southbound 5's heavy from Northgate to the Ship Canal Bridge, again from Denny to the Convention Center. North 5 slowing at Northgate, again approaching the bus barn into Mount Lake Terrace. Southbound 405 is already slowing from just south of 44th into, down about Park. Not too bad into the S-curves yet. A little slow north 405, though, approaching 70th off and on to 116th due to construction. King 1090 weather, partly cloudy tonight, lows in the mid-50s. It's 2:36, so that's traffic and weather together on King News Talk 1090.
Right now in Wenatchee, it's 74 degrees and clear, and in Seattle, 76 degrees with plenty of sunshine at Boeing Field. I'm Bill Polish in the King 1090 News Center.
Outspoken, outrageous, out loud. Spend more of your midday with Rick Miller on King News Talk 1090.
2:36 at King 1090. A bare 24 minutes until blessed relief sets in the form of Tom Likas, live from Los Angeles. Boy, this movie, Pat the Movie, who would ever thunk that they'd make a movie out of a subject like this? We have this woman on Saturday Night Live, played by Julia Sweeney, who is androgynous to say the least. Well, you can't figure out whether it's a man or a male or a female, and I've never thought the character was particularly amusing, and so imagine my flabbergastation when I find out that it's been made into a movie. I predict that this movie will open and close in about 5 minutes. Strangely enough, the movie is being test marketed starting today in 3 markets: Spokane, Julia Sweeney's hometown, Houston, of all places, and Seattle. This is where the movie is being test marketed or pre-screened, or I don't even know what it's being done. So why don't we call on Doug Thomas, who knows everything there is to know about movies and videos, and ask him what's going on, Doug.
Well, I don't know. I think you might be able to drive heave, though, after a while.
Yeah, this movie will... Maybe your new rating system should be how many dry heaves it gave you.
Well, I did. We won't get a nice argument here about I thought it was okay, because I even put a new rating on it for mine instead of my usually skip it, which I give to movies. I just said bury it. This is the worst movie of the year. And this is true, though. I have not seen Wagons East, which I hear is contending for that honor.
Just so you're very clear on this, Doug Thomas puts out his quick review sheet, which is available to one and all. And sure enough, here under Pat, the movie, he says, bury it. Bury it. Doug, what is so bad about this movie?
Well, 2 things. One, you just take it as a movie itself, or take it as a comedy. I am not a fan of the sketch. I do like the sketch. I think it works very well for a late-night TV, 5-6 minute sketch. It's one of the things that usually works on Saturday Night Live compared to the other things, which has not been a thing in the last year. And the first few minutes, just like a sketch that works well on the show, it works fine, the introduction of characters. But then I've never been so stupefied in a movie, in a comedy, not laughing. And the audience I was with wasn't gassed. I mean, they were giggling through it. But it wasn't like Ace Ventura, which I was not a fan of, which is just silly dumb. This just, after a while, I sat there intrigued like, a moth to light, not thinking how bad, and I'm not laughing, and it's really not funny, but that people actually put money. And as you said, it's a paltry sum compared to movies that normally the normal Hollywood film goes for $25 to $30 million. This was made for $7.5 million, which is chump change. But still, the fact that someone wanted to produce this movie and give money to it seemed amazingly wrong to me in some far off range. The other part that makes it bad is just how dangerous this is. I mean, we've all joked about these Saturday night movies, and we've had Blues Brothers and Coneheads and Wayne's World, which comes off as a masterpiece compared to this. But we're going to see more of them. We're going to see Hans and Franz. We're going to see other ones that are just should stay on late-night television.
Is that your prediction, or is that a fact?
Well, the Hans and Franz has been a fact for a while. We'll see if it keeps going. It keeps going, but the fact that Dana Carvey's movie career has not taken off yet, meaning he may step into something again that is a quick paycheck and that will give them audience.
Let's go back very quickly to the cost of this movie, Doug. Maybe they're smarter than we think. This movie, I was astonished to find out, only cost $7.5 million to make, which, as you said, is absolute chump change. I mean, this is nothing. Well, hell, just especially with all this advanced publicity, which I also want to talk to you about in a minute, but maybe they can bring in, open to several million, or 7 million, or 6 million, or something, and maybe they can make 20 million on this piece of dreck and turn a $2 or $3 million profit.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was just before we went on, I was looking at the publicity kit which came with this.
Let's get to that in a minute, Doug.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about that publicity kit. I've got some real curiosity going about this. Doug Thomas, just stay right there into the cooler with you, Doug. 241 at King 1090.
Rick Miller on King News Talk 1090.
You open the tropical green can of MJB Hawaiian Blend. You brew, you pour, you sit, you sip. Things begin smoothing out. You watch golden rays of sun streaming softly through your kitchen window. You contemplate how many grains of fine white sand there are on a deserted beach. You take another sip of smooth Hawaiian blend. Suddenly, you notice where your toddler hid the extra set of house keys. Your all-time favorite song comes on the radio, and for a moment you're 15 again. You finish your coffee and get ready to glide back into your day. But why rush? There's still time for a second cup.
If you'd like to experience smooth new MJB Hawaiian Blend, just MJB Hawaiian Blend. Enjoy the smoothness.
Remember back when you were a kid, you could sleep anywhere, wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. That doesn't last forever, and at my age especially, it seems like the whole day brings aches, pains, and fatigue. Lots of people have discovered adjustable beds. They're so helpful for those with chronic physical conditions. And for many others, the adjustable bed means a truly restful night's sleep and more energy the next day and every day. Beauty Rest has been America's first name in sleep products for over 100 years. And Beauty Rest is the perfect design for an adjustable bed coupled with powerful motors and precision gears. Raise your head, your shoulders, or your legs. Have a relaxing body massage. The adjustable bed is the ultimate, an incomparable night's sleep. Stop by any of Sleep Country's 13 stores for a demonstration or call for the Sleep Country USA no-obligation adjustable bed video, 1-800-745-SLEEP. They'll send it to you right away. No salesman will call. They'll just send you the free video, 1-800-745-7533.
You never knew Levitt's was so you.
All Levitt showrooms are joining in the grand opening celebration of our newest location in Fremont, California, with special hours Saturday 10 to 9 and Sunday 11 to 7. Everything is fresh and new with the latest fashions in home furnishings. And wait until you see Levitt's celebration prices. They are spectacular. But that's not all. You pay no money down with no payments till next year, January 95, and no finance charges if paid in full by the January due date. 18% APR. Minimum $1 finance charge will accrue, but will be credited if paid by the January 95 due date.
So you in style, so you in price, so you in attitude. So you can expect you'll get our best. You never knew Levitt's was so you.
Our Friday edition of Wide Open Telephones from Sacramento. It's coming up. The Tom Leykis Show, late afternoon, starting at 3 on King News Talk 1090.
244 at King 1090. I'm Rick Miller. We're talking to Doug Thomas, our movie reviewer and video reviewer here at King 1090, about the brand new movie, Pat. Doug, I have a couple of quick questions for you. Number one, you mentioned the publicity kit. I have noted with chagrin and almost something bordering on contempt, the huge feature stories printed in all three newspapers about this movie. And I know that they come right from the publicity department of the distributor. Have you noticed? I mean, do you have any impression of all this?
Yeah. Well, one is you did your first thing, the fact that it's a test-marketed film, so the publicity that would normally go to L.A. and New York is coming here, and also with a local tinge with Julia Sweeney from the state and writer Jim Emerson from Seattle. What I've read in the publicity stuff is mostly interviews, which is person to person. It's not straight from the publicity things. But the one thing for people to know, this is done by Touchstone Pictures, which is a subsidiary of Disney. Now, name me a better company that markets themselves better than anybody. And Disney has kind of changed the way they've looked at film outside the animation department. They now, instead of bringing out 12 to 14 films a year, have doubled that and bring out these little movies with budgets like $8 million and $10 million and $15 million with one or no stars, and some of them were Cabin Boy and Iron Will, and they air up there some of the most forgettable movies of the year. But if they make a $20-25 million profit, which they are doing, they're in the money.
Certainly. So, okay. But is it... I am astonished, even notwithstanding what you just said, the huge number of feature stories printed on this movie before. Can it be understood strictly in terms that you just described? There's nothing else going on?
I think so, because there's not that many films coming out. The only thing that's causing a stir this month is Natural Born Killers, and that's a much harder element to look at. It's not light fluff. And I think they've made Julia Sweeney very available for interviews.
Okay.
Because they have stuff like merchandise coming out soon. This is
Oh, they do?
That they're hinging some stuff on.
Well then, Doug, I know that you're not the writer for the PI, the Times, or the Tacoma News Tribune. Nonetheless, based on your knowledge of the business and the kind of materials that these people receive, how do you suppose they would justify these long, splashy feature stories on this movie? I mean, would it be the local angle? Would they say, oh, yeah, well, this is Julia Sweeney, she's from Oregon, and that's why it's deserving?
There's rarely a lot of in-person interviews in this area. I mean, there's a good amount, especially during the film festival. It's mostly phone interviews, and only the big boys, the Times and the PI, and maybe the Weekly will take time to do it. And Julie was given several times. They showed the movie at least 3 times that I got invitations to. And just because this is the biggest test marker for them to really look into, and I think it's a local element. And, I don't think I think it's just also Disney they save so much money making the film because of the lack of talent, and take that comment the way you want. But they're making it on the back end by promoting it, and we'll see how it goes. It's going to supposedly play the rest of the country in September, and it will play the rest of the country. It will not go straight to video. If Cabin Boy can be released in 800 to 900 theaters, this will also.
How much will it make? Come on.
12.
20. I say 20.
20? Okay.
Todd in Linwood.
Boneheads did 30, 35. We know what Wayne's World did. So, you're in that ballpark.
Todd in Linwood, you're on King 1090.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
Fine.
I enjoy your show quite a bit. And I also enjoy this program that you have on Fridays. My question is, I heard a while back that after the dismal showing of Aliens 3, that they're going to revamp and make an Aliens 4. Have you heard anything more about that?
20th Century Fox will make Alien movies as long as you come and go see them. They will, yes, I've heard they are retooling for an Alien 4, which of course will not have a Sigourney Weaver. The funny thing was, the third Alien, which I think was morally bankrupt at the story level, the original third one had a very interesting story that did not have Sigourney Weaver, and then Alien 4, she would come in to save the day, which sounded very interesting. But 20th Century Fox said, no, we will not make a movie without Sigourney Weaver, and long and behold, they are now, and I don't see where they can really take it. Maybe, I know I can. I'll bet you the aliens will come to Earth eventually.
Well, maybe it was just a bad dream like it did with Dallas, but for as many people I have talked to about it, they felt really betrayed that actually the company won, and that it was just... that they won, that they got what they wanted, and it just seemed like it was such a shame for such a good run for the first and the second one. I was just curious to see if they had gone on to the number 4.
All right, thank you, Todd. Thank you very much. Doug, I must say that Alien 1 and perhaps 2 I became physically aware in Alien 1 of being on the edge of my seat, unable to breathe.
I wasn't as strong on the first one as I was in the second one.
Okay, it might have been the second one that got me. One of them got me good.
I literally saw in the second row of the Cinerama, and which was the wrong seat on opening night. But man, yeah, it was one of those ones that was like we got in the car and it's like drive faster. It's a great movie, and it launched on a career of James Cameron, who has gone on to do many, many other good things. And we'll see what happens. 30 was, I think, an interesting attempt to do something different, but
okay.
We're all talking about the same thing. You'll see Alien movies coming out, keep on coming out. You're going to see TV movies like It's Pat come out because they want to get guaranteed box office notoriety. It may or may not work, but people know about Alien 4. People are going to know about this character because they've seen it before.
The continued leveling downward of our society,
yes,
Big
there
Doug.
You go.
Doug, thank you very much.
You betcha. We'll be on next week, and we'll talk about the 2 best American movies of the year.
I can hardly wait.
Okay.
Doug Thomas, as usual, doing a stellar job of introducing this movie, Pat, and other cinematic considerations. 251 at King 1090.
yourself see and be seen with Optical Illusions. Located in University Village, downtown Seattle, and in Bellevue Square, Optical Illusions can provide you with a new look for back to school and help you find frames and lenses that flatter and enhance your face shape. Whatever your plans are this fall, the professional staff at Optical Illusions can bring attention to your eyes, hide your prescription, or simply help you see better. Stop by today and get a head start on your fall with Optical Illusions. Enjoy relaxed back-to-school shopping at University Village. From kids' clothes to books and school supplies, they've got everything on your list. And after shopping, stop by the new University Village Starbucks for a cappuccino al fresco, all at
University Village.
When it comes to finding a better bottle of water, Calistoga suggests you consider the source.
Better water, better drinks, Calistoga. Better water, mountain spring water. Pure refreshment from the Napa Valley.
At the north end of the Napa Valley, the Silverado Trail leaves the valley floor and begins its steep 10-mile climb to the shoulders of Mount St. Helena. There, high above the town of Calistoga, in a setting of towering pines and tumbling waters, where 7,000 acres of nature preserves surround and protect its pristine source. That's where you can cup your hands and drink the pure, ice-cold, natural refreshment of Calistoga Mountain Spring water as it flows from the spring. Calistoga Mountain Spring water. There's no better source of refreshment.
Better water, better drinks, Calistoga. Better water, better drinks, Calistoga.
Read labels. Drink Calistoga.
Calistoga.
Been around the world, seen everything twice. So if you're packing your bags, take my advice. Northwest gonna treat you like a king. You'll be flying high. Yeah, take it from BB. Cause some people just know how to fly.
And some people just know how to save with our low Northwest fares. Now, through August 26th, Northwest is offering great values on destinations in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Travel between August 28th and December 14th, 1994. A 14-day advance purchase, certain restrictions, and some blackout dates may apply. For reservations, call your travel agent or Northwest at 1-800-225-2525. With fares this low, you can only go up.
Listen to Lucille now. Some people just know how to fly, yeah.
Hi, I'm Norm LaFave, inviting you to tune in to Auto Talk every Sunday night. Are you having car problems? Is your car not performing the way it should be? Are you looking for a new car? How about better gas mileage? Well, don't let your car problems get you down. Listen Sunday night for the latest auto news, auto tips, recalls, listener mail, and much more. Take care of your auto worries with Auto Talk and me, Norm LaFave, every Sunday night from 6 to 8, right here on King News Talk 1090.
My new screenplay, Balzac and the Co-Eds shift the paradigm in the process of suffering from the dry heaves. I'm Rick Miller, King News Talk 1090, and down the stretch they come. Bill in Renton, you're on the radio.
Hi, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to scream at me, are you?
No.
I'll cry.
No.
I'll be upset. A couple of quick things.
Yeah.
I think that all this screaming and yelling is usually marginally effective. Yeah, and I've been an athlete for most of my life. Not anything real fancy, but the usual smattering of high school and all that. But it kind of makes me wonder: is the goal to get people to perform, or is it to get them to cower before an authority figure?
To perform.
Well, I think there might be a little bit of number two in there, but particularly the military. Their goal is obviously a little bit different than a sports team, but
I don't think any organization is interested in people cowering before an authority figure.
Let me run this by it. Do you think that rudeness, I've heard this before, that rudeness is the weak man's imitation of strength, and a scream is a substitute for intellect?
No, I don't agree with any of that. I think that is really egg-headed. I don't think it serves you well to say things like that. I think that is much too artsy-craftsy. It's meaningless. It's a bunch of stuff drummed up by eggheads, I think.
How about, here's a real example then since that didn't seem to get you. There's a deal on, I think it was 60 Minutes a few weeks ago, about the Israeli army, who is certainly battle-tested, one of the best trained armies in the world.
You bet.
And although they don't have women in the combat ranks, they use women quite a bit.
Yeah. So what's the point?
In the combat.
Where are you going with this?
Well, why do they do that?
Why do they do what?
Why do they have women as trainers in a lot of the combat areas?
No idea.
They teach the soldiers.
I have no idea. Why do you think?
Maybe they're better at it. Maybe instead of screaming and yelling, it's a little bit more of the carrot as opposed to the stick.
I think maybe it has to do with the particular material being covered. Maybe if it's more cerebral, requiring cooperation and group participation, maybe it would be more appropriate for a woman to do it. If it requires physical toughness, it would be more appropriate to be a guy.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both. Do you know who Susan Butcher is?
No.
Yeah, she's the woman who won the Iditarod race a number of years in a row in Alaska.
Yeah, okay.
The famous deal with the dog sleds and the whole rap. And I know dogs aren't people, but it was a real mystery. People are always asking, well, gee, Susan, what are you doing differently?
Yeah.
And she said, well, it's pretty simple. I treat my dogs better. I don't beat them. They perform because she felt they were treated nicer, going back to motivation and just a whole different approach. Yeah,
well, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, that was her.
I mean, that's interesting. Obviously, if she's a champion Iditarod racer, she believes that herself. Even though she's a champion, I wouldn't necessarily believe that that's true.
Yeah. Rick, will you do one thing for me?
Yeah.
Will you blow me up?
I haven't got time today, because it requires a little bit more than you think. You see, low-budget shows require a little wiring. No-budget shows require even more wiring. Cindy in Carphone, you're on King 1090.
Hi, Rick.
Yes. Oh, Cindy, we only have a couple seconds.
Okay, I want to say the definitive answer to this whole thing is women are too intelligent. You've got 26 people on the field, 3 of whom are going to handle the ball. The other 23 are there to hurl their bodies at one another. Women look at this and say, this is stupid. I mean, I'm a football fan, and I love the game, and I love to watch it, but I don't think women would do that and put themselves in the dry heaves for something so stupid.
What a great grand finale you are, Cindy. Thank you very much. Yes, well, I mean, I know that we have pretty well covered this dry heaves business today. Stay tuned for Tom Likas. He follows immediately in his live show from Los Angeles. Thanks to Sean Splade on the board. Andrea DeCou, stifling dry heaves, my producer. Janet Ryan in traffic. Bill Polish and John Williams, they're in our news department, bringing us all the news that's fit to print, of course. And Joe Fiala, our engineer, all massive contributions to today's show. Thank you, one and all. Hug the kids. They deserve it, and so do you. And until tomorrow, make that Monday at noon. Don't you dare be late. I'm Rick Miller on the radio.
Seattle's talk radio station, King News Talk 1090, KING, Seattle.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Bob Hart. In the O.J. Simpson case,
it's a prosecution victory, and it's an expected one, really.
UCLA law professor Peter Aranella says the judge bent over backwards to be fair to both sides, but came down on the side of the prosecution in the first of 2 matters ruled on today. ABC's John Lyons in Los Angeles says the issue is blood.
Judge Lance Ito has ruled that the prosecution does not have to share blood samples with the defense, but was asked to try to do its testing in such a way that the defense could test later. Judge Ito used the decision as an opportunity to slap the wrists of the police and prosecution for confusion and miscommunication. The next defense motion will be considered in private. The defense charging that the DA's office is using the grand jury system improperly and illegally by planning to use the Al Cowlings grand jury to collect evidence for the Simpson case. John Lyons, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Now this.
Perhaps there's a stranger in your house and you didn't even realize it. You bought another kind of stuffing other than stovetop stuffing. You thought it'd be the same. It was in a red and yellow box. But you made it and something's just not right. The breadcrumbs are suspect and there's no evidence of the herbs and spices you love so much. and then your family tastes it, and they're looking for the perpetrator.
When it comes to stuffing, there's no substitute for stovetop.
Making anything else would be a crime.
Hey, look at these pictures. Now, who's smarter? This woman went to Sears Brand Central. This guy spends his money on leisure suits.
Are you serious? The Sears woman.
Right. Smart people go to Sears. Through Saturday during Sears Anniversary Sale, everything's on sale. All major appliances, all electronics, and all home office equipment, it's all on sale at Sears Brand Central.
Pretty smart.
So who's smarter? This woman who went to Sears or this guy who cracked the genetic code?
That's up for grabs.
King News Talk 1090, late afternoon news update.
Good afternoon, it's 3:02. I'm Bill Polish in the King 1090 News Center. Egging someone's house apparently led to the shooting deaths of 2 teenagers in Spanaway. A Pierce County Sheriff spokesman says someone followed the 4 teens in their car, then shot 2 of them to death with a rifle. The vice principal of the school they attended says the kids were not troublemakers.
Yeah, I remember any of them ever having been in the office for any sort of discipline. Wonderful kids.
Police are now searching for the shooter. Work may resume soon in the Kingdome. The State Department of Labor and Industry says cranes can continue sandblasting work, at least as soon as the owners provide the safety documentation necessary. Work on that ceiling has been halted for more than a week ever since a fatal crane accident killed 2 of the workers. The ferry system says delays on the Mukilteo, Clinton, and Port Townsend Keystone runs are likely to continue all the way through the weekend. The routes can handle fewer cars because of Thursday's breakdown to the Kittitas. John Miller looks at weather.
We've got mostly sunny skies in store for us this afternoon as the highs warm up into the mid-70s. Headed into the weekend, looks like a nice one with a few morning clouds tomorrow. More on Sunday, highs in the mid to upper 70s.
Traffic after this.
Nothing would please your Acura dealer more than to tell you all about their new Legend Luxury Lease program. Because at no other time has the down payment on the Acura Legend sedan, the best-selling luxury import, been this incredibly low.
Best-selling luxury import claim from Automotive News, 1988 to 1993.
Thanks.
Just doing my job.
But if we told you how little the initial payment actually is, you'd be forced to sit through endless legal disclaimers, which you probably have no interest in.
Hey, that means I have no more lines. None.
But we will tell you that this is by far the best time to lease the Legend sedan, featuring leather-trimmed seating, a power moonroof, and the phenomenal Acura Bose music system.
Oh, so now my part is basically non-existent.
Yes, in that way, it's quite similar to the lease down payment.
You said it. Prepare for the disclaimer.
Actually, I said nothing. Acura. Some things are worth the price. Take advantage of the lowest lease rates of the year on the Legend at your Puget Sound Acura dealer.
King 1090 News is brought to you by your Puget Sound Acura dealers, where you'll find excellent lease rates and model year-end savings opportunities.
Now there's a way to get King 1090 programming and station information right at your fingertips. It's called the U.S. West Easy Source, and you'll find the directory in your new U.S. West Yellow Pages. It's free and easy to use. Dial 442-2800, then punch in the code 1090. You'll find programming and station information, a preview of newly released videos, and even the humor of King 1090's Pat Cashman. Call now and check out the new U.S. West Easy Source service that gives you all the information on what's happening on King News Talk 1090.
Time to check out that commute, too. Here's Janet Ryan.
Northbound 5 exiting to eastbound 520. An accident reported there in the right lane. I do see some slowing on the main line approaching the area. Also, westbound 520 on the Portage Bay Viaduct. A stall reported there in the right lane. Also some slowing in the area. The eastbound's a little slow as well from Mott Lake out to the water. There was an earlier stall. It's now cleared away from the roadway, but it's still trying to recover. Stay around 527 at 196. An earlier injury accident there might still have things a little bit complicated. Elsewhere, we have big backups already. Southbound 5 slowing from Northgate to the Ship Canal Bridge, again from Denny off and on down to the brewery. Northbound 5 heavy at Northgate, and again right around 145th into Mount Lake Terrace. On the east side, South 405 is already packed from 44th down to about Sunset. Northbound off and on slow through the S-curves, getting tough into Kirkland. This traffic report is service of the Seattle Times. Confused by CD-ROM products? Sunday's Seattle Times has a complete buyer's guide written in plain English. To get Sunday's personal technology section, call 624-READ today. It's 3:06. I'm Janet Ryan, and the all-day traffic watch continues on King News Talk 1090.
All right, we are less than 1 minute away from wide open telephones on the Tom Leykis Show. It's time to check in with all departments, make sure everyone's prepared for today's broadcast. Music library, are you there?
Music library, ready.
Good. How about the sound effects people?
Sound effects, ready.
Okay, master clock people, timing, are you there?
Like timing and flow, ready.
Wonderful.
Tables ready.
Great. Pre-recorded department.
Tape decks ready.
And our splicing people.
Dubbing and editing,
Ready. Perfect. Thank you. Enough. Hold it already. Special effects. Are you there? Thank you, special effects. Special voice effects.
Box is ready.
Oh, that's wonderful. How about the sales department? Are you there?
Marketing and sales. Ready.
Thank you. Okay, engineering department. Are you there?
Engineering department. Stand by.
Stand by. We're in the air in a minute.
Engineering ready.
Thank you very much. P2 department, please. Thank you, John Paul Georgian. Ready. Okay, prepare to fade down the musical background as we go to the 10-second countdown to the Tom Leykis show. Thank you. We are 10 seconds away from the start of the Tom Leykis show. All departments, all personnel stand by. The Tom Leykis show is about to go on the air. At 3 seconds, we will go to silence and